Hello, and welcome to another Legacy Talks. I'm very excited about this week and this series that we are embarking upon. This is really the epitome of what the Legacy Business League and Heritage Global Group were established for, is to share information and resources. One of the best ways a community can preserve the legacy and heritage of a community is through visual arts, through spoken word, through creative arts, literary arts. And so today we're talking about the arts movement and on the Mississippi Gulf Coast with two very well-established names in our community that are helping to bring some opportunities to African Americans and to showcase our culture and heritage. I'm very excited to have them here, and they are definitely helping us in our mission to create a sustainable community of minority professionals and businesses through networking, development, and empowerment. This is definitely the networking piece of it, and that we want to ensure that individuals know about the opportunities that are afforded through these organizations and through these individuals, and also how to get involved. How do we not only just go and view some of the arts, but the arts project that Corey's going to tell us about, perhaps there's something that we can do to support their efforts and to ensure that we are doing what it takes to maintain our heritage and legacy on the Mississippi Gulf Coast and throughout the region. So welcome today. Thank you so much for being here. I will ask that you introduce yourselves because I might miss something. I will start with Miss Brenda Blount, who's the Director of Development at the Orr O'Keeffe Museum of Art. Welcome. Tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got engaged with the Orr O'Keeffe Museum.
Thank you, Angie. I've been with the Orr O'Keeffe Museum of Art for 4 years now, and I've always been involved with the museum through fundraising or their community arts board. So being on this side of it has really been very rewarding.
And Brenda is also a small business owner, and that is definitely the audience that we cater to. Tell us a little bit about A Better You and how you can help us transform our image and style.
So, A Better You is a full service image transformation. We take women my age that have somewhat given up and completely transform them by spending hours going through closets and just creating an entire program specifically for your body type and your lifestyle.
And Brenda is always top of the class. She always looks wonderful. So if anybody can help transform someone, even with me, like you're good. I'm going to be one of your clients one day. I promise you. I tell you I am. And if you ever want to share your age, I won't do that to you. But I think people would be shocked and amazed at how you've maintained yourself, and I want to be you when I grow up. So now we'll ask Corey, the outreach coordinator for Maritime and Seafood Industry Museum, and so much more. Will you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you came to I think you're at another museum on the coast
Yes,
as
so
well. And is this your
uh,
passion? Is this what you do?
yeah, so my passion is definitely growing Biloxi specifically, but the coast through arts and hip culture, and educating people about what we've been about here on the coast through the years, and what's available now. Really, somewhere like the Orr is just a beautiful place that not enough people go to. But I'm currently at the Maritime and Seafood Industry Museum. I'm the outreach program coordinator, so a long title that encompasses a lot. But one of the things I do there is the exhibits, and then all the marketing and PR, the education with the summer camps and tours and all that fun stuff. So we're working on a lot of good stuff right now, I think, to increase our inclusion, our diversity within the museum. And so I'm also got a bunch of titles here I'll go through, but also the president of the Biloxi Main Street board. That's where the Biloxi Public Arts Project comes in. There we're working on telling, again, the story of East Biloxi through art. And then also with Blackwater Brass and the Karate Kids and bands that I'm involved with here on the coast, which has been a long, fun history, I guess, over the past few years that I've been back.
That is fantastic. Thank you for that litany of what you're involved in, because I think it's important that we know that you're a great resource. So Brenda, let me ask you, I was a docent, which is a fancy name for a volunteer for Oro O'Keefe Museum of Art. When I first came back to the coast in 2002, I told you this story because it really mattered to me, that I found a place where I could be around like-minded people who enjoyed arts and entertainment. And even though I'm from here, I had been away for about 10 years living in Atlanta. And I just wanted to get into a bubble of people that really enjoyed the visual arts. And I had done some of that when I was in Atlanta as well as a volunteer. And they always had these launches for the various exhibits. So volunteers could, pour the wine and make sure that the tables were full with hors d'oeuvres, and really just kind of engage the guests who came out to see the exhibits. And it helped me begin to network. I began to meet a lot of individuals who were engaged in the community, and that invited me on to their boards or within the organizations. And it's literally how I became involved with the chamber. And through the education that I received with the chamber, was able to actually launch this one as well. So tell us how important it is for the OR to have established when they were renovating and really looking at their long-term strategic plan. They have an African American arts a permanent exhibit hall, correct?
Yes. It was very important for Jerry O'Keefe and his wife Annette that African American art was a focus here at the OR. We have Pleasant Reed. Pleasant Reed is a house that was built in the 1800s by Pleasant Reed, who was a carpenter craftsman. He is known for, at the time, building his home himself from scratch. The family lived very modestly, and the original home was on Elmer Street in Biloxi, in East Biloxi, and it was slated for demolition, and the Delta Sigma Theta sorority stepped in and saved it in 1978. They saved the Pleasant Reed house, and in 2000, they donated it to the Oro O'Keefe Museum of Art. It was put on a flatbed truck and moved from Elmer Street to the museum, and it sits on our property now. If you come to Pleasant Reed, you will see that it is a Creole cottage architecture. Unfortunately, the original Pleasant Reed house was destroyed during Katrina. And so we have a replica, and we're able to retain some of the original hardwood floors and that kind of thing. So it's been, restoration of love, of trying to save it. It's been saved twice now.
Yeah.
So we're excited to have it. And the Delta Sigma Theta sorority continues to be involved. They were instrumental in the opening of the City Within a City exhibit that is now housed in Pleasant Reed. And that is the East Biloxi African American and Civil Rights Historic Resource Survey that was completed. And it shows 75 Black-owned businesses that were thriving during segregation in Biloxi. So for every business that was in the front of town for Biloxi, you had the back of town East Biloxi community. So it's quite impressive. There's also a timeline from the Biloxi wade-ins with Dr.
Gilbert Mason.
Yeah, he just sent me an email. So there's a timeline with the Biloxi wade-ins with Dr. Mason, and some very wonderful historical photographs. So I encourage people to please come see it. That is a permanent exhibit that is always here, and you can see it anytime. What you see in my background is Najee Dorsey, and it is Seen and Told Alternative Narratives. And he is an artist that grew up in the Mississippi Delta. He currently lives in Columbus, Georgia, but he takes mixed media, and as you can see from the James Baldwin painting. It's extremely vivid. He also is a sculptor. So the Beau Rivage African American Gallery is housing Najee Dorsey's exhibit. And it will be on exhibit until April 24th. So please come and see Najee Dorsey and also the Pleasant Reed House.
How often do those exhibits switch out, move out? Is it on a cadence, or is it just depending on how long the artist wants to loan there?
It's usually quarterly. It's
Okay.
So quarterly we change exhibits, and we have some really, we usually plan exhibits out 2 years. We've had to adjust due to COVID, but we usually plan 2 years ahead, because that gives the artist, and you can imagine just a large scale painting like this, it takes time to pack up and move an entire gallery.
Sure.
And then get it hung and up. So it's a quarterly process.
Okay. And the exhibit that when you mentioned the pictures of Dr. Gilbert Mason Sr., but Dr. Gilbert Mason Jr. is very involved and engaged with you, when I know. I know that he sends a lot of suggestions. He tries to attend the events when he can. And I really appreciate his commitment to arts and entertainment on the coast. And he lived in New Orleans for a long time, and so he also tries to bring some of that culture here as well. And then my niece, she and her mother are founder of Opera Creole. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that, but if y'all out there who have not heard about that, please look it up. It is dedicated to maintaining and restoring, works from African American composers and artists, and they've actually done some original work as well, with some beautiful performances of both mezzo sopranos, and I'm very proud of them. So as we talk about music, I'm going to move to you, Corey, and tell us a little bit about some of the things you mentioned, trying to maintain the diversity and inclusion. And I know that perhaps COVID has waylaid some of the plans, but maybe just in general, why is that important to you and or to the organizers of the people that you work with?
Well, it's important to the museum because we really are a storytelling of the entire coast, from the time that D'Iberville landed here until now, and that includes more than just the faces you see sometimes. That's the Vietnamese culture, the Black culture, what the OR has with the city, and the city is, I think, very important. And y'all need to go see that out there if you haven't yet. It's wonderful. So we've worked the last couple of years to tell those stories inside the museum. So there'll be one separate permanent exhibition for the Vietnamese culture, and them arriving here in the early 80s through today, which is great with them because they're kind of still involved and around and really having a big influence, from the food to fishing and a lot of other places. And then the other will be the Blacks in the industry specifically. So this one's been kind of tough to find information on. With the Vietnamese culture, it happened in the 80s, so it's kind of right behind us. But with the African American culture, this was all in the 60s and the 70s, the times when things weren't recorded as much or as effectively. So I have been, over the last few weeks, doing interviews with both people who were involved in the industry as fishermen or factories and things of that nature, and then also some of the kids. I'll tell you, the last one I did, the fellow was 70 plus years old. And he is the grandson of one of the guys that we're looking for information on. So it's tough just for that reason. These folks are aging out, and the information is more difficult to find. But I will put a little call out there. If anyone has pictures of a grandparent or a parent working in a factory, we would love to have it. That's been difficult, but luckily we've been able to get a little bit of history recorded on video that we'll be able to share. So the plan was to open the first one of these this May, but we weren't exactly allowed to have people in the museum in May.
Right.
So
Barely can have it now.
Yeah, so it's been kicked out of the road a little bit, which has been good because we've gotten more and more information. And then the second was last May, I'm sorry, May in 2020, not this May.
Sure.
And then the second one would have opened this month. And again, it's just, things are so uncertain. So we're looking to push both those probably to the end of the year, and then go ahead and have the African American one open next February. So it'll just be a year later than planned. But those things are, very important to me, very important to the museum. One of the first conversations I had with the director there, Robin, was about, bringing some more diversity into the museum and including more people. And I'll say one of the things that drew me to the museum, actually, with Blackwater, we played their New Year's party a few years. And just the first time I went in there and seeing how diverse the crowd was, as y'all probably know, at a museum event, that is not common.
Yeah.
There were not only people of all ethnic backgrounds, but it seemed to be very much across economic backgrounds, which really stood out to me. Folks were dressed from jeans and sweaters like I'm wearing now, all the way to tuxedos. And I was just very impressed with that. And the way everybody felt welcome, was having a good time. So that's a part of our legacy there at the Maritime Museum. And we want to grow that, continue that as much as possible.
And I appreciate you for talking about the mixed crowd. I think that one of the things that we as African Americans in a professional setting, or business owners, we certainly want to maintain our heritage and culture, and it's important, to Black owned business, a reciprocal relationship where we encourage going out and shopping with minorities. And we want to do things when we're around the table to ensure that our people know about those information and resources. But we also want to, be seen as a professional that we are, and not necessarily always have to be advocating, but I created help co-found an entire chamber on the fact that we do need to advocate. So because we do live in South Mississippi, we've made the choice to live here and have wonderful careers and have been accepted in a lot of ways, but we're also helping make the difference. Do you agree, Brenda and Corey, that if you weren't around the table, that perhaps people couldn't hear the ideas, not because they're necessarily against it, but because people have their own experiences, so they don't know how to step out of it. It's not that people even are culturally insensitive, some people are, but it's just because they don't know. They just keep on keeping on, and it takes one of us to say, have you thought about? So Brenda, tell us about that experience for you in your professional world, either in arts or in everything else, how important it is for you to have been around the table.
Absolutely. One of the things that we have always done in outreach, and one of the things I started when I came, was working with the Boys and Girls Club. We paired artists with a child from each Gulf Coast Boys and Girls Club, and that artist and a child created art that was then auctioned off at the Steak and Steak, their largest fundraiser, every year. We were thrilled the year that Robin Roberts and Danny Glover were the guests. And we had one of the children's artwork go for as much as $1,500, and they were over the moon. I think the least was $700, and of course the artist was excited, the children were excited, and we had several children that were shy about getting on stage, but once they looked out and saw hundreds of people, they got really excited. And once the bidding started on their artwork, they could not believe it. So that is something that we have partnered with Kiva, and we've done that over the years, and I'm just thrilled that's something that we could bring. The artists love working with the children. The children get a different perspective of working with a professional artist here on the coast, and just learning that we have a rich environment of arts and culture here on the Mississippi Gulf Coast. So I've been very proud of that program.
And one of the reasons that's so important, Brenda, and I appreciate you bringing that up, because you know that I've been an advocate for the Boys and Girls Club for almost 2 decades, 20 years, is that they learn to envision themselves in that type of environment. they get inspired by seeing what they can do. And there's a plethora of celebrities out there that can tout, the Boys and Girls Club as having inspired them. Misty Copeland, Denzel Washington, Danny Glover's done some work with them. He was, one of our guest speakers that same year. Robin Roberts' family helped start the Past Christian Club. So I'm very proud about that initiative, and I do appreciate you bringing that up. Yeah. And so, Corey, with the Biloxi Public Arts Project, that is intended to tell the story of East Biloxi. And of course, Dr. Gilbert Mason and so many other people. He's really obviously was the most visible with having integrated the beaches and the Biloxi school system. But there are so many others in the community that worked hard and were and helped bring about change. And so you can't really tell the story of East Biloxi without telling the story of civil rights and African Americans. So can you tell me a little bit about how you're engaging the African American community and what imagery you're using to depict that story?
Sure. So yeah, the story, like you said, is telling the kind of the birth of Biloxi through East Biloxi, which was where it all started. But we are working on a couple now with imagery from the Black community. The first will be actually a couple of nameless fellas who are gambling, because we're working on something that's a huge part of Biloxi history is the gambling and moonshine and things of that nature. So there's one with gambling coming, and they are actually complete. So you can go by and see them now on Howard Avenue on Skull, sitting at a table playing a game of cards. And then on the other side of that building, we'll have the folks that are depicted on the Biloxi Blues marker down on Main Street. If you haven't seen that, it's just a cool little piece of history. These markers are all throughout the state. Most cities have one, and Biloxi has a great one, but Jelly Roll Morton's the name that's on there. Clement Jimerson, he was also a part of the weigh-ins with Dr. Mason. He's a very significant figure, but he was a pretty accomplished musician too. So his band will be included in that, yes. I actually just spent a long time with him last week talking about his grandfather in the seafood industry. So those are a couple. And then the next one, which would have been up by now without Zeta tearing the roof off of the building, but it'll be started fairly soon. And that's just going to be, the iconic Dr. King on the corner of Main Street and MLK there in Biloxi. So there's a few already coming. We've got some projects with kids coming where we're going to do some street art over in East Biloxi in one of the housing areas, where we're going to invite kids and their families out to come out and do art. And that'll be in partnership with Alitra over with the East Biloxi Collaborative, and Elizabeth Engelbert's son, who does a lot of great things over there in the community, and some of her organizations. But that's going to be a fun one over spring break. So if anybody wants to get involved, I think that the collaborative will be putting out the information on that pretty soon.
And Elizabeth is with the design group, the design studio.
She is no longer with the design studio.
Oh,
she is now working for another leg of Mississippi State. So that the design studio is a part of Mississippi State. So she's still working with them. She's focusing more on plastic free and Believe in Arts, which is a little organization that her and I started to kind of kick off arts overall on the coast.
Okay, excellent. She's good people. Okay,
great, yeah.
So we're gonna start wrapping it up. But I just wanted to ask each of you, is there any advice that you can give? And so Corey, we'll stay with you for now. And Brenda keeps putting her mask on because she's in the actual exhibit hall, and there's a guest coming through. So we totally want you to stay safe. So please feel free to continue to do that. How does one get involved in even what you're doing and accomplishing in East Biloxi? Is it a selection process with artists? Is it the Main Street Association chooses how to?
You go through the Main Street Association, or just through me. You can contact me in several ways. If you want to find me through Main Street, it's probably the easiest for me. But they have a website, biloximainstreet.com. And there is somewhat of a selection process. First, we want the imagery to be what we're looking for. So it has to be related to Biloxi. That's important. You'd be amazed at the things people will come at you with. And it's not jury, but we are looking for a certain level of art. So, we want it to look good and represent the city and the community well. But also, I'd just like to say, if you have anything that you're trying to work on or want to do, the key is to just kind of do it. This art project was born of, I just wanted to see some art in the city. I thought it'd be a great way to, one, educate people about the history of the city, lots of stories that people don't know about, the Waylands being a great example of that. And then also making it more inviting. The color makes the city more inviting, and it's within about a mile radius. So you can easily park and walk to all of it. You can see behind me here my background, hopefully the greetings from Biloxi. There are several small businesses are right by that. That little park you see, the first step in getting that done was some public art with the sculpture that we put there. And then, the owners graciously decided to put more money into the lot and make that happen. But it all just starts with a little bit of want to, a little bit of motivation. So get yourself a project and do it is my advice, whatever that might be. Just ask questions, reach out to people, and go.
Fantastic. So we will wrap it up with you, Brenda. And honestly, I know that you have to tell some of your own personal success stories, even with your A Better You, when you're helping transform lives. Is there any advice that you could give, anyone in arts and entertainment? Again, we're celebrating Black History Month, and that's what this interview is about. But it's, speak to the heart of anybody on how to get involved, either with the Oro O'Keeffe Museum of Art or in any way that you want to state.
Well, I will say that we always need volunteers. Our volunteers are quite up in age. I mean, our oldest one is in their 80s, and they have been with us since the very beginning. So we do need new volunteers. I will say that we have several programs. We have OMA After Hours, and Corey's band has played for us twice. So we're always reaching out to the local community for entertainment. That's every third Thursday of the month. So we use local musicians who need to work right now.
Yep.
We have a huge campus, 25,000 square feet of outdoor space. So OMA After Hours is something that we hold outside. And, Corey, his band has been here twice, like I said, and they bring their own group of followers with them. So we try and get different, we try and have different bands to bring in different people. So we do that. We also are in the middle of starting a community garden to bring in, East Biloxi school children to work in our community garden. So we have a lot of things going on as far as artists, local artists, and working or being a part of the OR. We have a vetting process. We have a curatorial staff that, just contact the curator and go through the vetting process here with us. But we have a lot of exciting things happening. We have been huge in just doing community outreach, especially during COVID. That's how OMA After Hours started, just getting people to come in and feel safe on our campus, because we do have the space and we can spread out and do things very safely. So we invite everyone to come visit the OR.
Well, I think this is just exciting times, and I think that you nailed it today in letting us know what's going on in the way in which we are upholding the legacy of African Americans in the arts and community, how we can get in touch with you to get involved. I've just have joined the board of the Oro O'Keeffe Museum of Art. So excited about that. I know you have a great group over there with Rob and David too at the Maritime Seafood Museum. So just keep on doing what you're doing. Please stay in touch with us. We are going to be reaching out to you to be more engaged in Legacy Business League. And then also, we are starting a mentorship, direct services, coaching, business development for startup businesses and those who are in business but maybe struggling with marketing, finance, organizational structure. And we may be calling on you for that too, because you've done it, and that's where.
Can I sneak one more thing in?
Sure.
I got to sneak one thing in. We are doing our summer camp signups right now for the museum, and we would really love to see that crowd diversify a good bit. But you can go to maritimemuseum.org to sign up. I do think we're running the least expensive, privately run camp. on the coast, and we've kind of tried to stick to that for years. But we also have scholarship opportunities, and you get all that information on the website. It does fill up fast, but go check it out, and please sign up and come join us for a week of sailing and fishing and all sorts of fun.
Fantastic. And what we'll have someone from our board or volunteer is put these type of things in the chat so that it's evergreen and people can go back and find these resources. So I'm looking forward to talking to you again and to learning how many of these projects came to fruition, and checking back in with you to again continue to celebrate successes. Thank you so much for being with us today. Y'all have a wonderful day.
You too. Thank you.